In the aftermath of Hope and Liam's wedding, the world around them seems to soften, as if the long years of heartbreak, separation, and misunderstanding have finally loosened their grip. The air feels lighter, the days more deliberate, filled with a cautious optimism that both of them barely dare to trust. When Hope gathers the courage to share her news, it is not done with spectacle or calculation, but with a trembling joy that reflects how deeply she wants this moment to be real. She tells Liam that she is pregnant, and for a brief, luminous stretch of time, everything else disappears. Liam's reaction is immediate and overwhelming. The happiness that floods his face is not just about becoming a father again, but about what this child represents, proof that their love has survived the worst storms, proof that the future they kept reaching for through pain and doubt might finally be within grasp. For Liam, the pregnancy feels like a promise fulfilled. He has always defined himself through family, through the idea that love can be repaired if one is willing to fight for it. Hope's pregnancy validates his faith in second chances, in the belief that the past does not have to dictate the future. He imagines quiet mornings, shared responsibilities, and the kind of stability that once seemed impossible for them. In his mind, this child is not only theirs, but a symbol of redemption, a living testament to everything they endured to find their way back to each other. He holds Hope with a tenderness that borders on reverence, convinced that whatever fractures once existed between them have finally healed. Hope wants to believe that too. She wants to live fully inside this happiness, to surrender to the warmth of Liam's joy and let it carry her forward without hesitation. Yet beneath her smile, something stirs that she cannot fully silence. The pregnancy does not arrive in a vacuum. It comes after months of emotional confusion, proximity, and unresolved history, particularly where Thomas is concerned. Hope has spent so long convincing herself that she has moved beyond the past, that the chaos Thomas once represented no longer has power over her. But the truth is more complicated, layered with memories she has never fully unpacked. At Forrester Creations, Hope continues to work closely with Thomas, their professional relationship defined by collaboration, shared vision, and an unspoken understanding of how much they have both changed. On the surface, everything appears appropriate, even cordial. Thomas is focused, disciplined, and outwardly respectful of Hope's marriage to Liam. Yet something in him begins to shift after Hope's pregnancy announcement. It is not jealousy in its most obvious form, nor overt longing, but a subtle disturbance that manifests in small, unsettling ways. His attention lingers a second too long. His questions carry an edge of vulnerability he does not quite manage to conceal. It is as if the news has forced him to confront emotions he believed he had already buried. Thomas has spent years trying to redefine himself, to atone for past manipulations and obsession by becoming someone worthy of trust. Hope has always been central to that transformation, both as a symbol of what he lost and as a reminder of the man he never wants to be again. Hearing that Hope is pregnant, that she and Liam are building a future so definitively without him, unsettles something deep within Thomas. He tells himself that his feelings are harmless, that acknowledging them privately does not make him dangerous. Yet restraint does not erase desire, it only presses it inward, where it can mutate into something more volatile. It is in this fragile emotional landscape that a private conversation between Hope and Thomas takes place, one meant to address lingering tension but instead reopening wounds neither of them fully anticipated. They speak about the past, about mistakes made and boundaries crossed, about the complicated emotions that once bound them together in ways neither fully understood at the time. Hope approaches the conversation with the intention of closure, believing that naming what remains unspoken will finally strip it of power. Thomas listens, torn between gratitude for her honesty and the resurgence of feelings he has fought so hard to suppress. Neither of them notices Steffi at first. She is not eavesdropping by design, but chance places her within earshot at precisely the wrong moment. What she hears is fragmented, incomplete, yet charged enough to ignite suspicion. Words about the past, about feelings that never fully disappeared, about moments that blur into memory rather than clarity. Steffi does not hear a confession, but she hears enough to unsettle her deeply. As Hope mentions timing, emotions, and confusion, Steffi's mind races ahead, connecting things that may or may not belong together. Steffi has always been fiercely protective of her brother, and equally protective of Liam, whom she understands better than almost anyone. She knows the damage uncertainty can cause in Liam's life, how quickly doubt can unravel even the strongest commitment. Hearing Hope and Thomas speak with such emotional intimacy forces Steffi to confront a possibility she does not want to acknowledge, that Hope's pregnancy timeline may not be as straightforward as it appears. The idea unsettles her not because she wants to harm Hope, but because she believes the truth, whatever it is, cannot be built on silence. As Hope moves forward in her pregnancy, the emotional weight she carries begins to manifest in darker ways. Sleep, once a refuge, becomes a battleground. She starts to experience recurring nightmares, vivid and intrusive, centered around a night she cannot clearly remember. In these dreams, the boundaries of time collapse. Faces blur. Sensations surface without context. And at the center of it all is Thomas. The dreams do not present themselves as explicit memories, but as fragments, touches, whispers, and the suffocating sensation of guilt pressing down on her chest. She wakes in a cold sweat, heart racing, unsure whether she is haunted by imagination or by something she has refused to confront. The guilt becomes a constant companion. During the day, Hope reassures herself that the dreams mean nothing, that stress and pregnancy hormones are weaving together remnants of old fears. Yet at night, her mind betrays her. Each nightmare chips away at the certainty she desperately wants to preserve. She finds herself questioning details she once took for granted. Dates blur. Emotions resurface. And with each passing night, the sense that something unresolved lies beneath her happiness grows stronger. Liam notices the change before Hope is ready to acknowledge it. He sees the shadows beneath her eyes, the way she startles awake, the subtle distance that creeps into her voice when he asks if she is all right. He attributes it at first to pregnancy, to fear of the unknown, to the natural anxiety that comes with impending parenthood. He reassures her, holds her, tells her they will face everything together. Hope clings to that reassurance, wanting to believe that love alone can silence her doubts. But one night, the fragile balance breaks. Hope's nightmare is worse than the others, more vivid, more relentless. In her sleep, she speaks. At first, her words are indistinct, a rush of fragmented emotion. Then a name slips through, clear and unmistakable. Thomas. Liam's body goes rigid beside her. Before he can process what he has heard, Hope murmurs again, her voice thick with fear and confession, hinting at the baby, at secrets she has not dared to articulate while awake. Liam wakes her gently at first, hoping there is an explanation that will dissolve his fear. But Hope sees the look on his face before he says a word, and she knows instantly that something irreversible has happened. The room feels smaller, heavier, as if the walls themselves are pressing in on them. Liam asks what she meant, his voice steady but strained, the way it always is when he is trying not to let panic take over. Hope struggles to find words that do not betray her or devastate him. Silence stretches between them, charged with the weight of everything unspoken. In that moment, Hope is forced to confront the truth she has been avoiding. Whether the nightmares are memories or manifestations of guilt, they are rooted in a reality she has not fully faced. She knows that her closeness to Thomas, emotional and perhaps physical, occurred during a time of vulnerability and confusion. She knows that she never fully examined the consequences because she wanted to believe she had already chosen Liam. The pregnancy has stripped away that illusion, demanding clarity where ambiguity once sufficed. Liam listens as Hope tries to explain, his emotions swinging violently between love, fear, and disbelief. He does not accuse her outright, but the questions are there, unspoken yet undeniable. Timing, trust, paternity. Each hangs in the air, too heavy to ignore. For Liam, the The possibility that the child he has already embraced as his own might carry uncertainty is almost unbearable. It threatens not just his marriage, but the identity he has built around being a husband and father who believes in fidelity and truth. The confrontation does not end with answers, only with deeper fractures. Hope insists that she loves Liam, that she wants this family, that whatever confusion exists does not negate her commitment. Liam wants to believe her, but belief has always been his greatest vulnerability. He has been here before, standing at the edge of betrayal, torn between forgiveness and self-preservation. The past rushes back with painful clarity, reminding him how easily trust can shatter. Outside their bedroom, the ripples of this moment spread. Steffi's suspicions feel suddenly validated, though she takes no pleasure in it. Thomas, sensing the shift, wrestles with his own responsibility. He tells himself that whatever happened belongs to the past, yet he cannot escape the realization that his presence continues to destabilize Hope's life. For the first time in a long while, he questions whether his redemption has been real or merely postponed. As the days unfold, uncertainty becomes the defining force in Hope and Liam's marriage. Every conversation is layered with what is not said. Every touch carries hesitation. The pregnancy that once symbolized hope now embodies doubt, forcing them to confront the fragile foundation upon which their happiness rests. Hope must decide whether she can fully face the truth, no matter how devastating, while Liam must decide whether love is enough to survive unanswered questions. In the end, this story is not merely about infidelity or suspicion, but about the cost of unresolved emotions and the danger of pretending the past no longer matters. Hope's joy, Liam's devotion, Thomas's restraint, and Steffi's vigilance all collide in a moment that reshapes their lives. The child at the center of it all becomes more than a miracle. It becomes a mirror, reflecting every fear, every mistake, and every choice that led them here. And as the future looms uncertain and heavy with consequence, one truth becomes impossible to deny. Secrets, no matter how deeply buried, always find a way to surface, demanding to be seen, named, and faced. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, peace is never permanent. It is merely the pause between storms, the fragile quiet that settles just long enough to make its destruction more devastating when the next secret surfaces. Recent revelations suggest that Taylor Hayes may now stand at the center of a scandal capable of reopening emotional wounds that Steffi Forrester and Finn believed they had finally sealed. After surviving the chaos unleashed by Luna Nozawa, after enduring fear, manipulation, and the erosion of trust, Steffi and Finn allowed themselves to believe that the worst was behind them. Luna was gone, the danger neutralized, and the promise of normalcy hovered close enough to feel real. Yet in this world, normalcy is often an illusion, and stability has a way of unraveling from the inside. At first glance, the threat does not appear as immediate or as violent as what came before. There are no kidnappings, no calculated psychological games played in the shadows. Instead, the danger takes a more insidious form, one rooted in emotional allegiance, moral blindness, and the complicated legacy of family loyalty. Taylor Hayes, long protected by Steffi's unwavering devotion, may become the catalyst for a conflict that forces Steffi and Finn to confront the uncomfortable truth that love does not erase contradiction, and loyalty does not guarantee righteousness. Steffi and Finn have always defined themselves as a team forged in crisis. The Luna ordeal tested them in ways few marriages could survive, yet they emerged believing that shared trauma had strengthened their bond. They learned how to protect each other, how to close ranks against external threats, and how to rebuild trust after fear had taken its toll. With Luna gone, their home finally felt safe again. There was laughter where tension once lived, routine where uncertainty had reigned, and the quiet confidence that comes from believing you have already faced the worst. It is precisely this sense of earned peace that makes what follows so dangerous. The question now is not whether chaos will return, but from where it will emerge. For Steffi, the answer has always been clear: Sheila Sharp. Sheila has been the embodiment of threat for so long that her presence alone triggers Steffi's instincts to defend, control, and preemptively strike. Even after Sheila saved Steffi's life, even after the moment that should have rewritten their story, Steffi's distrust did not dissolve. Gratitude may have softened the edges, but it did not erase years of terror, manipulation, and loss. To Steffi, survival does not equal absolution. Yet Sheila has changed, or at least she believes she has. Having found acceptance and stability with Deacon, Sheila now wants more than survival. She wants legitimacy. She wants to be acknowledged not as a threat reluctantly tolerated, but as a woman capable of love, loyalty, and restraint. Her marriage to Deacon represents the first time she has felt chosen without conditions, embraced without ulterior motives. Deacon's acceptance is not a small thing. It is the cornerstone of Sheila's fragile transformation. And with that acceptance comes a desire for recognition from others, particularly Finn, the son whose rejection has haunted her more than any prison cell ever could. This is where Steffi's defenses harden. From the moment Finn's connection to Sheila was revealed, Steffi made it her mission to create distance, to ensure that Sheila would never again have access to Finn's life or their family. Even when Sheila saved her, Steffi's response was not reconciliation but containment. She allowed peace to exist only within boundaries she controlled. Now, as Sheila seeks greater acceptance through Deacon and perhaps through Finn, Steffi feels that those boundaries are under threat once more. What complicates matters further is the emerging connection between Taylor Hayes and Deacon. For Steffi, Taylor has always existed beyond reproach. In her eyes, Taylor does not merely act, she acts with justification. Steffi has defended her mother through countless controversies, including Taylor's interference in the marriage of Ridge and Brooke. In those moments, Steffi framed Taylor's actions not as intrusion, but as protection, not as selfishness, but as love. Taylor, in Steffi's worldview, operates from moral clarity even when her actions are disruptive. This unwavering belief becomes the fault line upon which Steffi and Finn may fracture. The idea that Taylor could now be interfering in the marriage of Deacon and Sheila does not register as wrong to Steffi. Instead, it feels consistent with the narrative she has always embraced, that Taylor steps in when others are vulnerable, that she recognizes danger where others see opportunity. Steffi may rationalize Taylor's closeness to Deacon as natural, born of professional proximity and emotional understanding. Taylor worked with Deacon, counseled him, listened to him. Emotional connections grow in such spaces, and Steffi may see nothing inappropriate in that evolution. Finn, however, stands on different ground. Where Steffi sees inevitability, Finn sees interference. To him, the sanctity of marriage matters regardless of who is involved. Sheila may be deeply flawed, but she is Deacon's wife, and Deacon has chosen her freely. Finn understands better than most what it means to fight for acceptance, to want desperately to be seen as more than your worst mistakes. Watching Taylor position herself between Deacon and Sheila does not feel protective to Finn, it feels destructive. It mirrors patterns he has spent his life trying to escape. Finn's discomfort deepens when he considers the danger inherent in provoking Sheila. Taylor knows Sheila's history. As a psychiatrist, she understands the consequences of pushing someone with a volatile past. Taylor has even expressed fear of Sheila, acknowledging the threat she represents. Yet fear has not stopped her from moving closer to Deacon, from inserting herself into a dynamic that was already fragile. Finn may feel that Taylor, of all people, should know better. Knowledge, without restraint, is not wisdom, and good intentions do not neutralize risk. What Finn does not know makes the situation even more volatile. Sheila has already crossed a line internally, voicing the unthinkable threat that if Taylor goes too far, she will pay for it. The fact that Sheila has articulated this, even privately, signals how close she remains to the edge she claims to have left behind. Taylor's continued presence in Deacon's life is not merely an annoyance to Sheila, it is a trigger, a reminder of the world that has always denied her happiness. Finn finds himself caught between two truths that refuse to coexist peacefully. On one hand, He cannot condone violence or intimidation from Sheila. He will never support any action that harms Taylor or anyone else. On the other hand, he cannot ignore the moral implications of Taylor destabilizing a marriage, regardless of how flawed the individuals involved may be. Finn believes that people deserve the chance to build something stable, especially those who have spent their lives defined by chaos. Sheila's happiness with Deacon may be fragile, but it is real, and Finn recognizes the danger of dismissing that reality simply because it is inconvenient. For Steffy, this perspective feels like betrayal. She has always viewed Finn as her partner in vigilance, someone who understands the necessity of drawing hard lines. The idea that Finn might defend Sheila's marriage, even indirectly, challenges Steffy's sense of unity. To her, this is not about abstract morality, it is about survival. Sheila represents a threat that cannot be normalized, and anyone who facilitates her stability risks empowering her. The tension between Steffy and Finn is no longer fueled by external danger, but by internal divergence. They are no longer arguing about what happened, but about what should be allowed to happen next. Steffy's loyalty to Taylor collides with Finn's commitment to ethical consistency. Neither is acting out of malice. Both are driven by deeply held beliefs shaped by their histories. That is what makes the conflict so dangerous. There is no clear villain, no obvious resolution. Taylor herself stands at the center of the storm, perhaps underestimating the consequences of her actions. She may tell herself that she is acting out of concern, that her feelings for Deacon are a natural extension of shared vulnerability. Yet she cannot escape the reality that her involvement threatens to destabilize an already precarious balance. Taylor has spent her life navigating emotional boundaries, yet here she risks crossing one that could unleash irreversible consequences. Deacon, too, must confront his own motivations. His marriage to Sheila represents acceptance, loyalty, and redemption, yet the pull he feels toward Taylor complicates that narrative. Does he remain faithful to the woman who stood by him when no one else would, or does he allow old patterns of emotional conflict to resurface? Deacon's choice will not only define his future, but determine whether Sheila's fragile transformation survives or collapses into something far darker. As questions multiply, the future grows increasingly uncertain. Will Taylor continue to pursue her feelings for Deacon, convinced of her moral clarity? Will Sheila retaliate, proving that change has limits when threatened? Will Deacon betray his wife, or will he finally choose stability over impulse? And perhaps most critically, will Steffy and Finn find a way to reconcile their opposing perspectives before this conflict erodes the foundation they worked so hard to rebuild? In the end, the looming scandal is not merely about romance or rivalry. It is about the dangerous assumption that love excuses intrusion, that loyalty justifies blindness, and that survival alone defines morality. As the lines between protection and control blur, the bold and the beautiful once again reminds us that the most destructive battles are not fought against enemies, but within families, marriages, and the hearts of those who believe they are doing what is right.